Hey, welcome back to Talkie Tina ET Talk with your host, Talkie Tina. Happy New Year, everybody. And I know I'm kind of behind on the times with the drone thing, but I wanted to start talking about the drones. And I'm going to start with the very last article that I pulled regarding the drones. I have had this theory since the drones started really coming around all the bases and everything and making big news. And, New Jersey was talking about it. And I'm following all this stuff in Reddit and on my UFO apps and things like that, in YouTube and all that. And I've been thinking and talking with people in my inner circle about, is drone the new word to be used in place of UFOs? And that's why this article right here piqued my interest. Apparently, this drone activity has been going on for a while. It hasn't just been since November of last year, 2024, up through at least January 10th to 15th or somewhere around there. It's kind of dropped off since we made the transition to the new administration, because unfortunately in this country, we care more about every time that guy sneezes than we do about actual real news. So the drones have kind of fallen off the radar, but they're still out there. They're still circling our militaries, and they've been going on as far back as 2019. And those of us in the UFO community understand that these drones, in quotation marks, have been around really since the 1940s. In the 1940s, pilots on both sides of the war theater had seen what they called foo fighters, right? Those little round orbs that were tailing their planes. And not only did pilots from the Allied forces report these, but pilots from the Axis forces also reported them. And each side thought it was the other side's technology. Nobody knew what they were back then. Then we had the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, where lots of UFOs have flown over nuclear missile silos and, been reported to deactivate those missile silos. And when this drone situation started, it made me think about all of that. Like, is it really a drone? Are some of these objects going up to observe what's really up there above our military space? So, I have my own theories on this, and one of them is drone the new word for UFO or UAP? An interesting thing that was brought up in this article is that despite all the incursions over actually they say weeks, but it's been since 2019, these mystery drones have been flying over our military bases and ships and stuff, which we'll get into a little bit later. But they have been making these nightly incursions, but there's not been any verified imagery of these drones that's emerged beyond video showing numerous blinking lights in the sky. As a matter of fact, North American Aerospace Defense Command said that their most advanced aircraft attempted to identify the objects with extremely limited results. So there's not really any information about what these drones are. So, of course, Congress has to speak up, and the Senate Intelligence Committee vice chairman said that there was disappointment and shock at the lack of answers regarding these incidents. And then Kristen Gillibrand, who is also a member of the Intelligence and Armed Services Committee, said that the government does not know what the technology is that these objects are using. Okay, so as I said, these things have been going on at least since 2019, because right here it says over the course of several weeks in 2019 and early 2020, swarms of brightly illuminated objects alarmed residents hovering near nuclear missile silos, and harassing livestock in Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, and Kansas. And on multiple occasions, law enforcement officers observed several smaller objects hovering around larger mothership type objects. So the officer in Kansas observed a large object that stayed relatively stationary, while 10 to 15 drones flew all kinds of patterns around the stationary drone. And one of those drones passed over the officer, but somehow made no sound at all, even though the wind was calm that day. Several other officers stated that they were flying in adverse weather conditions, including hovering in winds of 30 to 40 miles per hour with those types of gusts. And, these are not the types of things that we have drones are usually affected by this kind of stuff, right? So that's what's making this so incredibly different from a regular everyday hobbyist drone, or even drones that are held by police departments or some maybe military departments. The drones are usually affected by weather and things of that nature. So an FAA official who flew from Los Angeles to assist with the investigation into these drones declined to even confirm that the objects were drones. There was an administrator at FAA, Steve Dixon, who noted not too long ago we would have called these UFOs, and his chief of staff responded, yeah, now everything is a drone. Which kind of goes back to my point that I think that's kind of our new buzzword for UFO. Call it a drone, and that way the public won't get too excited about it. Back to 2019 again, and we're going to talk about drones that were swarming U.S. naval ships off the coast of California. Some of these over the course of several months, and they were brightly illuminated and hovered and maneuvered around these vessels, and that prompted an investigation. And these incidents took place well over 100 miles from San Diego. So imagery that was released publicly via the FOIA showed that these indistinct, seemingly round objects were flying around these ships. And also, sailors aboard USS Omaha recorded an intriguing video that showed nearly a dozen mysterious drones swarm their ship 120 miles off of coast. And these spherical objects moved against strong winds and descended into the ocean. So that's something to think about too. The next day, sailors on the USS Paul Hamilton observed the object descending into the Pacific Ocean 160 miles off the coast. And it was part of a larger group of drones that subsequently departed, heading toward Mexico's Guadalupe Island, where their local fishermen had been baffled by spears that fly in and out of the ocean. And so the article kind of ties up with any object lacking wings or visible means of propulsion, yet capable of moving against strong winds and descending into the sea, is no ordinary drone. So I don't know, you all. I feel like this article kind of validates my theory that drone might be the new term for UAP, which is the new term for UFO, right? So I think what's happening is they don't know what's happening. And all of Reddit is abuzz right now because the new administration has come in and signed executive orders to declassify the assassinations of JFK, Bobby Kennedy, and MLK, but they didn't on day one, like they said, declassify whatever the hell these drones are. And we're like, when are you going to let us know what these are? Because you said you were going to immediately have that information released to the public for transparency, and we're still waiting on that. So I don't know what these things are, but I think that drone is the new word for UAP. Keep looking up, everybody.